from the unofficial material yet. Thank you. Okay.
Well, there's so much. My brain's exploding with all the information that I've gotten, but I am in the middle of an offer accepted right now. I have a listing, and I feel like I'm way ahead of where I should be because I don't have my back end ready yet, but I'm continuing to learn a lot.
So there are a couple of things that you said that if I may have permission, I would like to help you transition. One is I never want people to use the word where you should be. And it's going to take practice because we've used the word our whole life, right? And when you realize you might not be where you could be, then that actually paints a picture of you being able to continue to make future progress. And what I'll share with you is you're exactly where you need to be. And having those conversations and relationships to actually create business is the number one thing that's going to help everyone in here succeed. Everything else you can figure out later. And even when you're up here teaching like some of the people that you've heard from during this Ignite, you still will be learning new things every day. So you're never going to have it all together, ever. And as soon as you do, you're going to want to improve it. So I would just replace that language of should and understand that when you're building those relationships, you're perfect. And you have people surrounding you that will help you figure out everything else. Okay?
Definitely, yeah. So when I first started, I was terrified. I mean, I'm still a little scared, not gonna lie, but I've definitely gained a lot more confidence.
Okay.
In the education because I'm very education based and I like to learn things before I do them. So having everyone kind of walk me through the little things, especially like the open house thing, I did not want to host an open house. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
The
I'm going to
how-tos.
say the wrong thing or I'm going to do the wrong thing. And just kind of made me feel more comfortable, which is why I did my first open house for her because I knew if I did something, she'd be like, it's okay, not a big deal. But it went great, and now I'm hosting another one Sunday.
Awesome. Congratulations. So all of those how-tos helped you have the confidence to go do it.
So
Perfect.
I'm very detail oriented. So I like that everyone's like, here, have a checklist. Here, have a list of things you need to do. And I'm like, I feed off with stuff like that. I'm like, okay, I make myself list all the time.
Follow the plan.
Yeah.
Yes. One of the things that you said is really important to kind of double click and highlight. If you are learning based, this is a perfect place for you. Because yes, you had Ignite and you showed up as if it was, your habit building and your boot camp, and that's awesome. And you'll look ahead at every single month and figure out ongoing forever, what are the 1 or 2 classes that I'm always going to take based on where I am in my business? Because we have classes for every production level, every focus area that you can imagine. And you'll always want to be looking at that. That is a part of why people do so well here, is because they're always plugging in. And one of the things that I was super excited to see at the end of last year is when the market started shifting a bit and it started getting a little bit different to get business, a lot of our top producers were leaning in and showing up in the office together even more because they know that this is what helped them build it. And so the secret sauce of this company is the relationships and the training. As long as you always lean into that, you'll have what you need. The moment that you start getting on an island and thinking that you're doing it by yourself, it can become overwhelming at times, and it doesn't have to.
Yeah, I don't know if it's any one specific thing, but I've taken in so much more than I even did before, and then I'm also having to get the information to my wife
while she's working.
Yes. Yeah. So in the evenings, trying to explain everything that I learned through the day and with her, and try to keep her up to date with what I'm learning. But I mean, it's a lot of things. It's a lot of small things, but it's important. I feel
like you've learned a lot.
I mean, I do. I feel like I've learned a lot. So it's a lot of little stuff that adds up.
Awesome. I love that you've taken it home and shared it. One of the things to always remember is the number one way to learn something is to teach it. So the moment that you want to continue to grow in something or become a master at something, you should make it a focus for you to teach it more often and share things. So, and you're immediately doing that. Yeah. Get excited. That's awesome. And I'll be very happy when she can join you full time here. And I know that's the goal. So awesome.
I'm just gonna echo what they've already said. I mean, it's been a lot of information and I've taken a lot in. I started night very late, so I've been sitting here for like a week and a half. But
I thought so. It was a little later. Okay.
so I'm a little lost, but it's been a great experience so far. 'Cause all of the coaches and people that have been teaching classes have been so informative and helpful. Great. I can't really pinpoint one specific thing, but overall, it's been great.
Awesome.
Yeah, like you said, I can't pinpoint one specific thing. But one thing I do like is like the structure it does for you. The waking up, you have to come to the office, make calls once the class is over with. So kind of put you on a structure and a path to do the things you need to do.
Okay.
Being young and having so much freedom, your mind is start wandering everywhere else. So like it might kind of narrow that
Gets you in the
down.
habits.
Yeah, that's what you're doing. So I like that.
So you're showing up for your own business the way that you would show up for someone else's because you have a schedule. Okay.
I feel like I probably have two really big wins for the whole Ignite process. One of which being that I got my first listing, and they are now in their inspection period right now, so that's
Awesome.
great. And then we kind of got thrown into a script off, and I won, which was cool.
That is really cool. Was that when Rebecca hosted it?
No,
Or someone else?
It was with Coffee with the Coach.
Okay.
On Tuesday, I think. But it was walked in and kept us like, "You want to do it?" I was like, "Sure, why not?" And
That's great. Congratulations. I heard those are fun.
Well, I should have been come to Ignite more often, but I was just lacking. But the one thing I really learned is people always say because I was on a team and I'm transitioning. I always say, oh, this is such a lonely process by yourself. But I learned that it's actually not. There's so much support here, and I learned that, and I feel much more like comfortable and confident just stepping into an individual. I know like I'm not going to be able to producing as much as I was, but that was planned because I don't have that much time. But I feel like, oh, it's not that lonely process. You have so much people here to actually help you. So that actually gives me a lot of confidence. That was just at the edge. Or should I just stop the whole
And it's very important to you to be present as a mom and also be able to do this business. And so it's been good for you to have the support. Yes. I love it.
Everywhere I go, it seems like everybody's
I love that. Well, I brought you guys a gift. Thank you for all sharing your wins. So years ago, one of the things I had the opportunity to help with in the company was called CGI, the Career Growth Initiative. And at that time, you're welcome, we had a version of this. And you've probably had, depending on how long you've been in here, you've had some goal conversations and some different versions of those, whether it was when you were in the meetings considering what your path would look like in real estate, or whether it's been recently with KIP or with the team that you were a part of. You've thought about what are your goals and what's important to you. So some of the material we're going to go over today in Ignite is going to cover that again. And then what I challenge you to do is when you're finished today, I would like for you to think about, some of you will think about it quickly, some of you it's going to require more thought, and the most important thing is that you get it on the calendar so you make it happen in the next 24 hours. And that's something that you can actually incorporate around everything you're doing. So anything that you ever want to make progress on, do some little part of it within a 24-hour period, and it increases the likelihood that you're going to accomplish it tons, okay? So you'll see my Instagram handle at the top right of this, because when you put this in front of where you work every day, at your desk or wherever you're looking in the mirror, wherever you're going to see it every single morning, I want you to be really clear at the end of this session, if you're not already, how many appointments you need to go on every single month and why that's important to you, or your big why for this year. Maybe not your big why forever because they evolve, but your big why for why you're doing this business this year at the bottom, so that every single day you can get really clear on how many appointments I need to go on and why am I doing it. So that when you're navigating the tough things, or you're not doing the things that you know you need to be doing, or when you are, you're really clear on why that is. A really fun thing that you can do with it once you get it complete is in your mind, you can say, if I don't choose to go on 4 appointments this month or 1 appointment this week, I'm choosing that I don't want this to happen, whatever your why is. So then you're just consciously choosing every day, right? And no journey is perfect. And what you can be assured of is when you're mindful of what even got you into this business to begin with every single day, you're going to hit your goals or exceed them. So I really just like to provide that for you guys and tag me in it because I want to celebrate with you when you actually accomplish what you set out to and help the team hold you accountable to that. You are going to hear a lot of things that you've gone over in the sessions as you've been a part of this. And we're going to go deeper on some of the things that we do. About 2/3 of the way through, I'm going to have you complete this evaluation. So I'll let you know about that when we get to it. Who wants to read this quote on the screen?
How you think matters. How you think in the beginning really matters.
Yeah, and it's directly from the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. Who in the room has a Millionaire Real Estate Agent book? Got it? Who doesn't have one? If you don't have one, make sure you see Carter and get one. Okay? He has them in the closet. Don't leave the building without it today. Write yourself a note right now. Whatever you need to do, do not leave the building without it. That's going to be the foundation of your real estate business. And don't worry, if you don't love reading books, you don't have to read it all at once. It's just your guide. And you're going to reference back to different sections of it throughout like a resource. So you'll just want to have that. What do you think this quote means?
Exactly what I just said. Should instead of could.
Okay, I love that. I love that you paralleled that as an example. What else do you think it means?
Your mindset is really important.
Your mindset is the foundation you build on.
Your mindset is a foundation you build from, yes? Okay. What practices do you in the room have every single day when you wake up to help you with your mindset or how you think?
A positive note on my mirror,
Okay, you write a positive note on your mirror,
and then my why.
and you have your why.
My mountain house picture.
Okay, perfect. So you actually have a visual.
Mm-hmm.
And our brain thinks in pictures. So even if you write your big why on this in words, you also need visuals of the things that are important to you because it will actually move you in the direction of whatever you have visuals of in front of you all the time. So that's great. Okay. What else? What are your habits around your mindset?
I have a vision board on my computer.
Okay.
Open it up in the morning.
Vision board on your computer?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just on my screen. Just
Love
like
it.
a few pictures, like 5 pictures, and it just reminds me every morning.
Awesome. Podcasts, books, anything that you... Napoleon Hill? Okay.
Somebody said I think and grow rich. I think he said it's selective thinking. So it's kind of like when you just put the thoughts that you want in your head opposed to you just reacting to everyday life. So that's one thing I kind of try to focus on. Like if you're going through something or if you're straying away from what you're supposed to be thinking of, just go back to your goals and where you want to be in 5 years.
I'm actually reading a book right now, for the second time, called Be Your Future Self Now. It's really good. And don't worry, if you ever come meet with me in my office, if I haven't done this to you yet, we'll probably end the session with like 2 or 3 book recommendations. So I just love reading, as I'm sure, some of you do and many people in the building do. And the MREA podcast is really, really good if you love podcasts. Those are really powerful stories of mega agents in the company. That one has Jason Abrams that's interviewing them on it too. It's awesome. Gary Keller's Think Like a CEO podcast is really powerful. So go ahead, ask me.
Kind of illiterate to it, but
How do you get on podcasts? Yeah. So there's a few different ways. Thank you for that, because a lot of people that don't listen to them as a habit. So you can get to it on Spotify for most of them. They're on there. So if you already listen to music on there, you can listen to podcasts on there as well. There's also your Apple Podcast. That's its own app. There's several different. Where do you guys listen to podcasts? Audible. You can listen to books on there. Where do you listen to? YouTube. Yep. So pretty much any way that you already listen to things, you can do it. Or if you want to go to a platform that's only podcasts, you can listen to it there as well. One of my favorite ones too that I listen to when I'm working out, because I'm doing a Miracle Morning Challenge with some people right now, is the No Days Off podcast. And the reason why it's one of my favorite is because the sessions are 8 minutes. So I can always get finished with listening to it and listen to a few instead of like not finishing it if I didn't have enough time allocated. So I like that. I like to be able to finish things. There you go. Look at that. Learn something new today.
Things going on and just
Yes. You can listen to it in the car, listen to it while you're working out, anything you're already doing. It doesn't require extra time. It's one of my favorite things about podcasts, right? So that's really good. We also have, if you go to kellerinc.com, KELLERINK.com, all of Gary Keller's books are there. So not only the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, also The One Thing, which is really amazing. You did. Awesome. So that one is applicable to both life and business. So it's actually well known across many, many, many industries just because it's really played a huge role in people's lives. And it really helps you focus. So if you have a challenge focusing on what you actually need to be doing in any area of life or business, that's your book. Okay, so that one's on there as well. Shift is on there, which is a really great book. The Millionaire Real Estate Investor is on there, which is a really great gift you can give to people when you're listing their house. If you actually just buy a box of 10 and give them a Millionaire Real Estate Investor book at the listing presentation and teach them that whether they were considering investing or not prior to that meeting, your goal is to be their primary wealth determiner, you can help the way that your partnership looks long term. Yes.
Can I say something?
Yes, Kip.
Millionaire Real Estate Investor, if you go to the website, you can buy a set of slides for that.
Yes.
And what's really cool about that is every person in your database thinks about hopes and dreams to become a millionaire real estate investor.
Yes.
So you can put on real estate investing seminars because you already have a pre-done slideshow and you have a book.
Yes.
Teach you everything you need to know about it. Very, very powerful lead generation technique.
And it's a great way to get listings.
It is.
So if you think about, it's really common to have buyer workshops. It's a really great way to have listing workshops for you to attract people that are interested in continuing to build their real estate wealth. And yes, and you actually you buy the book, the slides are on there for free. So when you're on that website under resources at kellerinc.com, under resources, you can go to any of Gary Keller's books and you can actually get a list of free resources associated with every one of the books. So that's gold. You should go there and just look at it and see what's available so you know when to pull the things out when it's appropriate for your business, just so you know what exists there. Thank you for that, Kip. All right, we talked about your mindset. How do you all think you're doing right now in aligning your life and your business with your heart every day? On a scale of 1 to 10. 6 or 7, okay. 5, okay. 5, okay.
6.
Okay. And now that you're aware of it, do you have something coming to mind that would help you close the gap a little bit? Right? If you think about your heart and what you intend to be doing in life and what you're doing every day, personally and professionally, are you clear on one little tiny thing you could do to close the gap on that a little bit? Just one habit, one conversation, one change to your calendar, one change to your schedule.
Trying to time block better.
Okay.
Everything else.
Okay.
Like this weekend, I'm gonna like really time block a lot of time.
Okay.
I can get started again.
I love time blocking, and make sure you leave white space and make sure you're really clear on the details of what goes in the time block versus it just being a generic block. Because one of the biggest risks when you start using your calendar that way is you could start using it in such a way that you block everything, and then the moment that you don't actually follow through on something, it throws you off from using your calendar, and then it doesn't matter anymore and you're back at square one.
That happened to me this week. We had so many activities after my other job that I was like, oh my God, when am I going to do this?
Mm-hmm.
So this weekend,
And then just think about what winning the day looks like.
Yeah.
Block the most important things and leave space for life to happen so you can be present. When Kip was talking about how when you're in the gym, or for me, I think about when I'm at the gas station or the grocery store or everywhere you go every day, how can you just think about It doesn't have to be hard. How do you think about contributing to that person in front of you? Instead of me being on my cell phone when I'm checking out the grocery store line, how could I actually be present, think about the person in front of me, have a normal conversation with them, and just talk to them about any way I could help them, right? We just get to wake up every day and choose who we're going to be that day. We don't have to be perfect all the time. However, how do we just say, winning the day today looks like I'm going to talk to 10 people, and I'm not going to be distracted by my phone or other things going on in life until I do that. Right? And it's just the first 10 people you come across, you're actually going to have a conversation with them and care about them. I love that. Okay, so time blocking, what else do you think you can do that would just be a small thing that would help you move forward? That's a really good one. Who else thinks time blocking would be helpful for you? Yes? Okay. One more thing.
Call my leads. Call. Place calls.
What did you say? Call your leads?
Call. Place calls.
Place calls. Okay, because that's going to shift everything for you, right? You're going to get the freedom, you're going to get the money to do the things that matter to you, both in living life and giving back, right? Okay, so time blocking and actually calling. Those are two good ones. Are you all ready to take action and have a successful day today, during the time you're learning and after today, after that, so that you can actually go through your habits and have a powerful day? Yes? Okay, awesome. All right, this is our belief system. You have probably gone over it every single time in here, yes? Yesterday? Okay. So this is our belief system, and I just want to quickly go through it. I want you to point out something on here that stands out for you that is important in this belief system. So when you're working with clients, when you're working with cross-sell agents, when you're working with each other, what's one thing on here that is really, really important to you? And yes, just pick one for now. You could say all of them. Communication?
Win-win.
Win-win, okay. Commitment? Integrity, yes. Success? Communication? Say it again. Yes. It's hard to pick one on this list, right? It's such a good list. So one of the things, and for many of you who have met with me before you joined the brokerage, you already know this. One of the things that I always share, and don't forget to do this, is in the beginning of a conversation of working with someone, a buyer, seller, investor, potential person for your profit share tree, any of that, make sure that you have this document as a part of what you go over. Even if they're a high D and you're only going over 3 things instead of 10, right? I want to make sure that you're bringing this up, because when you face a challenge during the transaction, I know none of you think that will happen, and it might, right? When you're facing a challenge, the easiest thing to do is bring someone back to the standard of how we do business here. If you set the stage for that standard in the beginning of the relationship, it's not hard to come back to it because it's not emotional at all. This is how we do business. And then this is the lens of how we're going to have that conversation of whatever the thing is. And you already let them know up front, this is the way that we're going to do things.
That's so good.
It's really helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really, really good.
Yeah. And if you need help with, you all have this access to this material in your Google Drive as well, right? Is there anyone who doesn't have that? Okay. So literally just grab this and go put it on whatever you're going over in the beginning of your buyer and listing relationships, in your investor relationships, in your vendor relationships. And every time just have this quick conversation. Here's how we do business together. Do you have any questions about that? It's important to me that I do business with people that are in alignment with my standards. And then usually that just goes really quickly. Revisiting your value proposition. Does your value proposition truly reflect who you are, the value you bring, and the benefit your clients will experience working with you? How do you guys feel about your value proposition? That was one of the classes, and some of you haven't been through the whole Ignite, so I want to make sure that I understand where everyone in here is on that. Who feels confident with your value proposition and speaking to it? Okay. Can you give me an example of how you talk about that?
Sure. I know my market, my commitment. I'm here for my client to make their dreams come true in a smooth transition. And that's really who I am. It's just the middleman that's going to make everything seamless for them.
I love that. And did you gain experience prior to real estate that helped you feel confident in that being your value?
This
Okay.
is all from here.
Perfect. I love that you gain that confidence here. And one of the things I always remind people when they're talking about their value proposition is you were a person before you got in real estate that has life experience, professional experience, strengths, all of that came with you. So a lot of times what happens is when they get into real estate, people think that I might not have any value in this particular industry or business and forget all of the value they had before that. And all I'm asking for you to do is make sure that you partner that and realize how amazing you already are before you got here and how unique you actually might be in the way that you can serve your clients in a way that nobody else is. And that can be brought into the conversations you're having about the value that you provide. How does everyone else feel about your value proposition? It's a part of the Ignite program, and I want to be sure that you feel really, really secure and confident in speaking to it. What'd you say? You're getting there. You're working on it. Okay.
I think it was explained what it is very well, but what we need to do to bring ourselves to what our own is isn't very clear.
So you didn't actually do it yet.
Yeah.
Got it.
They explained what it is, great, but I don't know if anybody's really been like, no, you need to pinpoint what you know you're good at, and you need to figure out a way to put that into words for other people to value that as well.
Thank you. So you learned about it. You didn't necessarily workshop it for yourself. Okay. So I am going to give everyone in here 3 pieces of homework, and it's your choice if you do it. I promise you it will change a lot for you if you do these 3 pieces of homework, and you get to choose if you take ownership of it or not. I will not come back to you and check on it. You will send it to me, and you'll go into a drawing for a dinner. Okay? And I like nice dinners, so it'll be yummy food. The number one thing, since we're coming across this as a gap for you all, is I want you to write 3 to 10 sentences, you choose, of how you uniquely support the clients that you'll work with. And if you're like, oh, I'm stuck on that, I didn't learn enough, go look up the value proposition of other people that you admire, and don't worry about if it's in this industry or not. And go read them and understand how they're worded, and then create yours. Of what your value proposition is. So if someone asks you in an elevator, why should I work with you? What your answer would be. Okay. Now, I'm going to give you a freebie of what the 3 to 10 sentences could be. You work on a team of the number 1 realtors in the entire area that will get their home sold for the highest amount of money. Whatever format you want, as long as you can speak to it. I just want you to feel confident with it, and everyone thinks differently. Thank you for that question, William. Your homework, for everyone who chooses to do it, will be due texted to me by 5 p.m. today. Does anyone need my phone number? Anyone not have it? 704-309-7676. Okay, so that's number 1. All right, revisiting your big life. Who would like to read this?
One thing all 5 achievers have in common is they are working for a big why. The big why is about having a purpose, a mission, or a need that in turn gives you focus.
Thank you. I will tell you that big why is language that we use really often in this company, and it came from Gary Keller in the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. A lot of times when you hear it, you don't always, for me, I'll just speak to my personal experience, you don't always know exactly what the heck that even means at first, right? And so I love that he actually uses the language, purpose, mission, or need in here. I'll tell you that my personal big why transitioned often. At first, I didn't understand how to articulate it at all for like a year, so you will be much faster at that than me. And when I finally did, it transitioned a couple of times until it just got simple and clear over time. And now it's stayed the same for quite a bit. So that might happen for you. It can change over time. It'll develop. So don't feel like when you write it on this sheet and have it in front of you, that has to be permanent or perfect or always. It just needs to be what's important to you right now. Okay? And I'll share that my personal big why is to develop leaders that change the world for the better. And for me, that means inside my home and outside my home. Right? So here, and what I get to help you guys do every day and serve your clients, and what I'm helping my kids with at home. It's big because you are after extraordinary results. And the why, it's the reason that you get up every day and do what you do. And we've talked about that. And the reason why we care about it being big is because it powers a big life. And a lot of times people get stuck on that big life piece, especially if they think I only need so much myself. And one of the things I get really excited about is helping you understand what can you give back to or make a difference for someone else above and beyond you, because many times that'll help you get past that block that you have when you understand it actually doesn't need to be all about you, right? And there are a lot of people that get excited about things they do want to do for their family, and that's not wrong either. Just don't let anything get in your way of understanding that you're in an industry where you get to choose how much money you make. And because of that, you have the responsibility to make a difference with that money, right? And to do something great with it. And wouldn't you rather you, who intends to do something amazing and thoughtful and giving with it, to have the money than people to have the money that are not going to do something positive with it? The money's out there. You get to choose, right? What are your thoughts or ahas from the beginning of today? Kip.
Why don't you go first?
That is very nice of you to say that.
Well, I need it.
I think there are some pieces at the beginning that it could. Yeah.
Well, I wrote it down. We're going to discuss it.
Okay.
You're right.
Thank you. What about you guys? What are your thoughts so far for you? It could be a little thought you've had, an action item you've written down for yourself. I really want this to be interactive and powerful for you.
Changing the way I think. Like, instead of saying, like, I hope I can do this, just say I'm going to do it. Like that, it's kind of like the should to could thing. Because I'm big on always going, well, I hope I can do this. Or I'm going to probably do this. I'm going to try and do this.
I will. I am. I can.
I got to change the way, like, I think in here.
So this is not your assigned homework. However, if you choose to take it on for extra credit, you can, and you won't get an extra dinner, okay? I love what you just said so much, and this is something that I've had people do over time that's been really impactful, and I've done it, and it's helped me a lot. Write I am statements. I am are two of the most powerful words in the dictionary. And you can literally choose, who do you intend to be as a professional business owner in the future? Who do you intend to be as a daughter? Who do you intend to be as a sister, a brother, a mom, right? A spouse. And you can write statements of I am right now that are your future truth now. And you can wake up and be that person today. And you can be that person 10 minutes from now. So I would just say, write 10 to 20 I am statements of the truth about who you are. And what's going to happen is you're going to get into practice of replacing the lies that naturally happen in your mind with the I am statements of the truth. So
I think what's been so amazing about this class is all the people in here that I've met, they have it. They can do it. We just have to believe we can do it. But every single one,
everybody is already capable.
they're there.
That's right.
They're there.
Yeah, you're all already capable of this in your own unique way. You have gifts to bring to it that nobody else does. Thank you for that. And the Becoming More book that's for sale at the front desk, that was written by Diana Kokoska. She actually is the one who started MAPS Coaching years ago, which is the big coaching company inside of Keller Williams, that once you get to $150,000 gross commission income consistently, you can apply for one of those level coaches. Kip's really passionate about getting people to the level that they can get into mastery coaching with that. But that book she launched last year. And so like my internal theme for how I'm helping people this year is Becoming More in 2024 because it rhymes. But that book up there has a whole page of limiting and unlimiting beliefs just on one page of the book. So if you're, in case you don't already have 20 books today to read, go ahead and add that to your list. And when it's appropriate, if that's something that you're wanting to grow in your personal mindset, there's nobody better at it than her. I had the opportunity to learn from her for quite some time. I was a MAPS coach of the top 27 profit market centers in the company out of 834 for about 5 years. Those 6 core competencies of a business. You've been going over this every time too. So let's look at this real quick. Who wants to say number 1? Number 2. Number 3. Number 4.
Write and negotiate contracts.
Number 5.
Coordinate the sales close.
And number 6.
Manage the money.
Who can think of things that are not on this slide that you think you need to do in your business? Raise your hand if you can think of things that are not on this slide that you need to do to run your business.
Self-advocate.
Yes.
So
Relationships. Your website, your database, your business cards, all the things that you get stuck in the office thinking you need to do right now. Anything? Do you think that way? Okay. That's where I wanted you to go. And when you come back to this slide every day and ask where these things are showing up on your calendar that day, that's how you're a business owner. Right? And because you're building the relationships, remember earlier I said that's number 1, the rest works itself out. You've got to have it's a relationship business, right? That is the currency of this business. So when you are making sure that every single day that you're focused on business, because remember, we want you to have a life by design, and we care about you growing, which means you're going to be in training sometimes. So you put your personal and your training on your calendar every year first. That's what Gary Keller says to do. Choose the vacations you're going to go on. Even if you choose when you get to that part of the year, it's going to be the next weekend instead. Not a big deal, but it's on there. Right? So choose the vacations you're going to go on, choose the memories you're going to create with the people you love, and then put the trainings you're going to go on there. And then your business is around it. Because we can reduce the days that you're focused on your business so that you can be 100% of yourself to pour into your clients. And we can reduce how many days you hit the goal over, right? So example would be, if I know in February, I'm going to be in Vegas at family reunion the last week of the month, because I will. And my personal recruiting goal a month is to have 16 recruiting appointments and to bring 4 people in. I know how many business days, I'm just telling you how to look at your month, right? I know how many business days I have and how many appointments I need to set. So then I look at my calendar and make sure I have the time to lead generate and the blocks of time for my appointments in the days I'm going to be here. The mistake a lot of people make is they're on vacation with their family and they're still stressed because they haven't hit the goal for the month yet because they didn't plan for it in advance. Just look ahead at your calendar and plan for it in advance. And then yes, you're probably people joke about this all the time, you're probably going to get business while you're on vacation. Because as soon as you go away, people want to see stuff. And then you can lean on your team here and figure it out, right? And what happens is you have momentum and you feel empowered by your time and your calendar versus feeling like you're always behind. So just in the last week of every month, look ahead at the next month. Choose your personal time or the things you're looking forward to. That's your future facing. That's always going to inspire you. Small things or big things. Choose your training classes that you're going to attend that month so that they're blocked off and you don't block over them, because those are important for whatever your focus is for that month. And then your business time. And now you know how many days you have to hit your goal. And now you're not feeling behind in all the times that you should be present with something else. Does that help? And then this is how, on the business days, these are the things you need to be doing. Not every day of your life, on the days that you're focused on business. All right, where do your commission dollars go? So you'll probably hear a lot of people joke around that, like, I'm the money girl. Anybody ever heard that? Like, if you need help with money, go to see Sandra. I'm surprised you haven't heard that yet. Now you know. And that goes with anything. If you want to meet about personal budgeting, finances, anything to do with that, all the way from I was in significant student loan debt and a single mom right when I started at this company in 2013, all the way up to building real estate investments or anywhere in between. So I am so well versed with money conversations. I've heard every example that you could possibly think of. And so literally we can just figure out where you are as a starting point, figure out where you want to go and create a plan like what he said at the beginning with no emotion around it. I could just help you remove yourself from it, have a plan, and feel empowered by money. So if you need a conversation around that, which we all do wherever we are, just so you're clear on your path, schedule time on my calendar. If you schedule with me before Sunday for the next week, I'll always get you on my schedule. Okay? Now, this is how your actual commission check gets divided so that you can be familiar with this. So first of all, we know that there's commission on both, anyway, we're not going to go down the conversation that John had this morning because he already went so lengthy on that. And we know that the total commission is going to usually be for both sides, buyer and sell side. And then usually they have all the little words up here while this is happening. And then there's going to be a percentage that gets paid to your brokerage. And are most of the people in here individual agents? All? Okay, perfect. So that's the same conversation. And I'll just say this so that if you ever consider joining a team in the future, you know how that works too. When you're on a team, you share a certain percentage of your commission that's your part with the team for the value they're providing you first before you start paying into the brokerage. Okay? Whatever the split is, it's different per team. And then you pay into the brokerage. How much do you pay into the brokerage? There's two versions. So if you are in productivity coaching, how much do you pay into your 15,000 company dollar cap per check?
36, the royalties, the
20. 20, because you're going to pay 10% into coaching, and that's a separate entity. Okay. And then how much do you pay into your 3,000 royalty for every check? 6%. Yes. So 6% goes into your 3,000, which just means as soon as you hit 3,000 in that every year, you start over the next year. You're at 100%, right? As soon as you hit the 15,000 that 20% goes into, then you're at 100% there. When you graduate, when you finish up with the coaching program and everything, you will be 30% into your 15,000. Okay. At that time, you're capping on your 15,000 and your 3,000 at the same time. So you'll be at 100% at the same time when you get there. Okay. The great thing about the coaching program is that 10% investment is going to help you hopefully have transactions faster because of the environment you're in. So that's the goal in that first year, get you to capping as fast as possible so you can get to 100%, which is the point of being here. So you can have profit in your business for you and your family, not for us to keep money all the time, which is the design of some places. There are some brokerages that only talk about volume and celebrate volume because they don't want people looking at their bottom line. What we care about here is how do you have profit in your business? How much do you keep at the end of all of it? Okay. So you're going to pay that in, and then you're going to pay taxes. Okay. Everybody excited about taxes? One of the most important things to remember about taxes is you now owe them quarterly. Okay. Even now, you might not always be paying quarterly, especially in the beginning. You do need to file quarterly because you're a business. Doesn't matter how your entity is set up. You need to go ahead and start filing quarterly so you don't pay extra at the end of the year because you're a business owner. Okay. Put that on your calendar so you can make sure that you're reporting as often as you need to so you don't pay any penalties. So there's a few different ways that you can be set up before you even make any money in this particular business. You probably want to just be a sole proprietor and have everything in and out of a separate personal account until you start making some money. Have a couple of checks and then get your LLC set up so you don't pay self-employment taxes on yourself. And you would there's a website, so you'll go to llcuniversity.com. And then select the state you live in, and it will walk you through exactly how to do it. You don't need to pay someone else to do it. unless you're starting the entity with like a partner or something that's more complex. It will walk you through how to do it without having extra charges on there.
So how do you estimate your taxes if you don't have any income?
When you're reporting quarterly and you don't have income, you won't pay in, but you are responsible for reporting because you're a business.
Where do we report it?
On the IRS website.
Okay.
And we do have, just so you know, if you're like, I don't want to mess with that, but I know I need to do it, everything in your business, you just have to own that it happens because you're a business owner. You don't have to be the doer of it. So if you say, hey, I really don't want to do that part, but I don't want to have to pay penalties at the end of the year, you can talk to like Brian Harris, who's on the ALC, his wife, Joanna. She has her own bookkeeping firm. And she has different options of people with different levels of profit. You could literally say to her, just so you know about it in advance, how could you help me when I'm not even making money yet? How much would that cost? What does my business need to look like for it to make sense for me to be working with you? Tell me how to get there. And she won't charge you to begin with, you know? So just have those conversations with the key people that you'll want in your world financially before it makes sense to hire them, so that you're ready to hire them when it makes sense to. A lot of people think in the beginning, I don't need to talk to any of them because I can't pay them yet because I haven't made profit in this business. And that's not true. You need to go ahead and have them in your corner so they can tell you what steps do you need to take between now and then, and they will for free. So a lot of people kind of let that, like, I'm not paying for all of this yet, get in their way of taking the proper steps early enough. If you don't report, all you have to do is file quarterly. If you don't have, what she asked is, if you're not making money, do you owe taxes? No, they just expect you to file quarterly because you're a business owner. Yes.
What would you suggest putting aside for taxes, like out of your commission?
Yeah, I'm going to give you a rough estimate, and it really does, depending on what your personal situation looks like, I'll give you the fine print as well. So the fine print is, I am not your personal CPA, and you may have amazing things going on or complex things going on with different businesses or scenarios that I don't know about. And I suggest putting away at least 30%. And usually you won't spend that if you have a great CPA that handles your taxes. Because they will always, and the conversations you want to have with your CPA is you always want to tell them what your goals are. So let me give you an example. I've actually had people not tell their CPA that they're planning on purchasing a house the following year. And the year before that, they just wanted to save on taxes as much as possible. So their CPA helped write off as many possible expenses as they possibly could and reduce their taxable income to really low. And then they weren't showing enough income to qualify to buy the house. So one of the most important things is let the CPA do their job. You don't have to know taxes, but you are responsible for communicating with them what your goals are every year so they can make sure they handle it in alignment with what you intend to do financially.
Do they offer like an IRA here where you can just deduct it right out of your commission, or is that something you set up separately?
You would set up your own IRA. And you probably would want to look around to see what the best one for you would be anyway, based on what banks you bank with. Yes. So I actually have, for anyone who's interested, I do wealth review sessions that are specifically go over all the 7 categories of things that you'll want to consider. So like your insurance, when you start making more money, you actually need additional insurance coverage, and a lot of people don't pay attention to that. So as you're scaling this business, you just want to be mindful of that up front. Like your financial setup. And if all of this, you're like, this conversation is so much, you definitely need to have the meeting, because what happens at the end of it is you're aware of all the gaps. And by the way, people who are really, really familiar with money have a lot of gaps when we're finished with that conversation too, just like everyone. And you just decide, what are the 1 or 2 steps I'm going to make next? That's it. So that you can boil it down to simplicity instead of feeling like there's so much. Okay? So if anyone wants to sit down with me, get on my calendar, text me, let me know, and then we'll get scheduled for a wealth session. They're only 30 minutes. I'll help you understand the whole 1 to 7 categories you need to be looking at, and then what your next steps are based on what you share with me. And the amazing thing about that is, even if you weren't already familiar with all of that world before, then you become more familiar about what to be having conversations with your clients about. and the relationships you're going to build with those key people in your world, you can start referring those people to your clients. So it just changes the dynamic of the partnership you have with them too.
How do you get on the calendar? What's it doing?
On my calendar, just text me. Thank you. Do you have my phone number? I think. Do you have my phone number to get on my calendar? Okay. That's just my personal calendar that I do the Welt sessions. I would have Calendly organized, but I don't because I have a lot of things on there. That's a goal for me in the next couple months. Don't be me around that area. Oh, there they are. Look, I was like, there are words on there. Okay. So then you have your take home at the end of it, right? At least you know this up front. A lot of people walk in the door, and because this is not talked about their brokerage, they have no idea that when they get the $10,000 check at the attorney office and they come home with, $6,400 or whatever it is, they don't understand how it got there. So at least you understand it a little bit better, right? And every time you have a closing here, inside your documents in Command, there will actually be an outline of the details of your transaction. So you will have every detail of this. It won't be like a mystery amount. You'll have it. And if every time you have a closing, you enter that into a system, it'll all be organized for you by the end of the year, so you won't have to go back and figure it out. We do have a tool that Kip is using in coaching, that I use in coaching people, called CTE. If you go to the website, we pay for it for you. It's called ctebiz.com. And if you go to the top of it, it says my broker pays for this, and Keller Williams. And then our office number is 687. And then as soon as you do that, it will send you your file that's personal to you. And you can just go in and get your goals set up in it. It sends you a short video on how to do it. And then that is going to be your CEO dashboard or your tracker for your business. And so you're actually going to love the reports that automatically happen in it. Don't let it overwhelm you when you look at it, because your personal time to enter things is very minimal after you get it set up. It's like 5 minutes a week that you have to go in and enter anything. And it's going to help you understand what your upcoming commission looks like. You have a profit and loss tab on there you could use, so you actually know what your profit is in your business throughout. You can see what your you can use the lead generation tool in there to actually track these habits every day, and it'll create a graph for you on how your lead generation was going. So there are just a lot of really useful tools inside of that. Who just added that as an action item to make sure you get that done? Yes? Okay. If you have questions, the CEO mastermind that I do, that's 1 hour a month, it's on the calendar. We dive into that every time, just to make sure that you're up to date on it. Make sure you're up to date on your time blocking for your calendar. Make sure that you have a profit and loss statement for your business. So if you just want 1 hour dedicated every month to come and like check in and be with other people that are doing it, that's what that is, that CEO mastermind. Okay. It's going to get a little easier after this. I know it was a lot. Okay. So this is an example of a financially sound or unsound business. I'll read it to you because it's a little small. So on the left, there was a closed commission of $9,000. Jessica, who was the agent, paid that to the order of Jessica Campbell in her personal bank account. And then she put it in her wallet and spent it on living. She did not save for business savings, and she did not save for taxes. On the right side, you have the $9,000, same commission for Jessica. She paid it was paid $57.60 from the brokerage to her after the brokerage got paid. Same way as the first one. She put $1,728 in her business bank account, $4,032 in her personal bank account, saved $1,613 for taxes, and that was both self-employment and state and federal because she's not an LLC yet in this example. And then in her personal wallet, in her personal bank account where she pays her bills and everything, she included $2,419. Yes, William?
So do you keep like a separate bank account for your taxes?
Thank you for that question. Will you remind me of that question after I talk about the slide? Okay, because I actually have very clear recommendations of bank account setup. Yeah. What are you guys noticing about the left versus the right? And some of the things that make the right one a sound financial model?
Didn't save anything for
Didn't save anything for taxes. Yes. What else?
or to put back in her business.
Right. She's just going to end up having to borrow from herself, and she's not going to have the money because she already spent it. So she's not ready to get a listing, right? She takes a listing. She needs photography. She has no money to pay for the photographer. What were you saying?
It's gonna make it hard to keep track of your business, what you're spending too. I mean, if you,
Really hard to keep track of your business and what you're spending.
yeah, because if you're not running through
A business
you run
account.
through separately.
It's commingled. Yes. You're going to have a mess at the end of the year when your taxes are
Right? How you
happening.
gonna separate everything?
Yes, it's a whole
if
mess.
trying to
You're right.
plan.
That's what it looks like when I do my husband's, at the end of the year. It's a mess because he uses his business card to go get a cheeseburger at McDonald's.
Oh.
He got his money coming in from the savings account that he puts into the business account because he wants to balance it out and he wants to pay off AutoZone for a heart that he
Yeah.
did. Then he goes, "Here you go," and he just hands it to me. And I'm like, I can't help it. It just can't help you. Like, I don't know. You need to organize this better. It just doesn't.
And in this example, she did actually save money for taxes, both because she's not an LLC, for self-employment taxes and state and federal. Okay? So I love your question, William. Thank you for that. So minimally, if you're not yet an LLC because you haven't made the money that makes sense for you to be yet, make sure that you have a separate personal bank account that its only job is to pay everything to do with this business and then bring everything in to do with this business into it when you have income. Nothing else goes in or out of that account. So if you don't already have that separate account, go set it up today. Your MLS dues that you paid, the board dues you pay, what you pay us monthly, all of that needs to go out of that account. And it's February now. I was about to say it's January. It's no longer. It's February. So you're not so far into the year you can't fix it. Go handle it right away if it's not already set up that way. Question about that one?
So just set up like a little change with that?
Yep. It will need to be checking when you first get started because you just have money going out of it right now until the revenue comes in, right? Now, my ideal whole world is I really like you to have minimally 2 personal accounts. So your personal checking that you pay your bills and pay for everything that your living expenses are out of. I love, this is me getting really nerdy, so just deal with me for a minute. I love for you to have 1 month of expenses, and that includes enjoyable things, not just like I'm surviving, right? 1 month of expenses in that personal checking, and you just fill it back up at the end of every month as a habit. So on the first week of the month, just make sure that you have 1 full month funded in that personal checking, okay? The other personal account I want you to have, unrelated to business, is a personal savings account. And I want you to have 6 to 9 months of, we've had this conversation to get ready for this business, 6 to 9 months of that personal number of how much you're spending every month in that personal savings account. If you're not there yet, your laser focus is to get there, okay? That's your personal world. And then remember, at the end of every month, you're just going to make sure that that checking has how much you need for the month in it. Why do you think I care about that? Why is it a good habit just to have the 1 month's worth in that account? Or the opposite. When you start noticing you're low on money in that account, you need to start asking yourself, was this on purpose? Is there something else extra that happened this month? It creates intentionality and awareness, right? So you always know. And it creates a habit that you're going to incorporate into your business that's really powerful, that you're going to do the same exact way. So it's just about creating the habits at home that you're going to pour into your business. A lot of times in this business, we make the mistake of teaching people to be business owners and run habits around their time, their money, their everything, And we forget that if they're not already doing that for their personal life, it's probably going to be hard for them to do it in their business. So they really parallel each other quite nicely, as long as we talk about the personal stuff too, right? And so the business side of the bank accounts, I want you to minimally have a business checking, and that's always going to equal 1 month of business expenses that you're budgeting to have for the next month. And then what do you think goes in the business savings? You can pay taxes out of it, but what do you think I'm going to want in there based on what I described your personal world to look like? 6 to 9 months of business expenses. Okay, so a fully funded business savings account is the goal.
Would you recommend, I think it's maybe not really, how do you set it up for to have a business credit card?
Thank you for that. Yeah. So yes, your business credit card would be attached to that business checking account because you're going to pay it off every month, right? Yeah. And never have a business debit card because you never want to be able to get cash out of an ATM and not know what you spent it on and not know how to write it off. So only have a business credit card and pay it off every month and have it attached to that checking account.
It's checking, so it's just like,
Yes.
technically.
You're using your checking account. You're just getting the rewards from the credit card. Mm-hmm.
So I have a business debit, but I treat it like a credit.
You don't go to the ATM.
I do not.
Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect. That's the only reason why I don't like it being debit. So if you don't use it that way, you're okay. Okay. Now, there's 2 ways to do taxes. Either you can have the taxes pulled out of that savings account that you're keeping the 6 to 9 months in, or if you really want it super organized and you think that way, you can have a separate tax account that you're always putting that 30% into every time you have a check.
30%.
Which would mean you would have 5 total accounts if you do that, if you have a tax account that you fund every time.
30% is just the safe way.
Very
You're
safe.
not going to pay whole 30%, right?
Most of the time you won't. Yeah.
Most of the time, what is the average?
There's no average. There's people, some of the people that you saw up here, if they have a goal to buy their 10th investment property in that year, and they're going to need to show a lot of income, they're going to have to pay a lot of taxes because they needed to show income. So some of them are like in a 44% profit margin or tax margin, you know.
You may have already mentioned this, but so when you say 30%, is that assuming that you don't have an LLC yet?
That's just a good average. Whether you have one or not, you just need to set it aside because you are going to be paying the taxes. This self-employment taxes, you see, it's a small percentage. Once you have 2 to 3 transactions, you need to set up an LLC. Don't go beyond that without it set up because you're going to be paying self-employment taxes and you don't need to. Because through your here's how you save on that. When you have your LLC set up, if you pay yourself a payroll, then you're not paying self-employment taxes anymore. So then you just pay yourself a payroll every month and live the way that you're used to living. Yes, reward yourself. You worked hard, and once you finally start having closings, make it something exciting. However, one of the things that has equipped people to be able to invest and build a future faster is because they live the way that they were used to living before and that they know they can, and then reward themselves a little tiny bit at a time instead of growing their lifestyle with their income. And that gives you the margin to be able to invest in real estate and pay off debt and have the proper savings you want and kids' college and all the things, right? So, did you at least learn a little bit here that you feel a little bit more confident with the money, even if you have some questions still? Yes. And once you start taking the steps for you that you need to on your action plan, feel free to reach out and ask questions anytime. And there are lots of recommendations on our closed Facebook group and relationships we have here in the office for all of the professionals that you'll need. So you don't even have to guess at that. Okay? Money is good for the good it can do. What does that mean to you? Say it again. Good for the people you can help? Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of ways you can help people with money. What else does it mean? Help yourself? Yeah. I mean, it's just all of the good things you can do for your family, for your friends, for things that matter to you, for things you can make a difference in, right? And here is the way that most of us have thought about the flow of money in our life. We think we have income, we pay whatever we pay, and then whatever's left is our profit. And that's whether it's been at home or whether we've had a business before, right? This is just literally ingrained in us in the society we live in. Would you agree with that? Okay. So what if we radically flip it upside down? And what if today you chose that whatever profit that you choose to make in this business is not negotiable? And however much money you want to have at home for the things that matter to you is not negotiable. And then you think about how do you minimize expenses and get really clear on how many closings you need to have the income necessary to have that profit. How does this change your thinking if you switch it? Your thinking, your habits. What did you say?
Definitely more positive.
More positive? Okay. More work?
I think the other way around kind of limits you because you're going based off the profit you made instead of the profit you're trying to make.
You're not focused on the goal being non-negotiable.
It's more goal-oriented.
Yeah, it is. And it's going to take work for you to think this way. Think of how long you've been trained and conditioned to think the first way.
I'm trying to learn that now.
Right? But I like what you said, William. When you focus on the profit or the goal that you have for your family or the things that you want to build or give back to or pay off or give, all the things, when that is not negotiable for you, then your actions every morning are not negotiable, right? You can say, if this is who I choose to be, that this is definitely happening, that my big why is definitely very important to me. Then when I wake up, no one else has to tell me that I need to go have conversations with people. I just know if this is a person I am, that's how I show up. Right? Now, it's nice to always have accountability around us and coaches in our life and have the right team around us. However, you're not unclear if your goal is non-negotiable, how you need to show up. Are you? You'll self-adjust. So that's why I really love this graphic. And this idea actually didn't come from Keller Williams. We did a big study and a big partnership with the Profit First book. So if you want to study about money and add one more book to your list for the day, Profit First is a really powerful one. And it teaches you how to put profit first and how to separate different accounts based on what's important to you. So you could have a vacation account and how much money needs to be in there. And you just focus on paying the things that matter to you first before you do everything else, which is a different way of thinking. And it's a really amazing book. Expenses related to your real estate business. So we talked about the left side of cost of sales, commissions paid to the market center, and that's only when you're uncapped. After you're capped, you're not going to be paying anything in, right? The goal is to get to 100%, stay there for as long as possible. And then the next one is royalty fees. We talked about that. That's the $3,000. That pays for everything Keller Williams related. So that's all of the network, all of the 54 countries we're present in, all of the things that you get through Command, through KW Connect, all of that stuff that is so amazing is what the royalty goes to. And then the commissions or splits paid to employees or independent contractors involving sales. That is very wordy and doesn't need to be. So when you have a team, right, which if that is in your future, you'll just want to think about this for then and kind of file it in the back of your brain for later. When you have a team and you're paying a percentage out to a buyer's agent, it would go here. If you have someone that refers you business from California and they refer it here for you to help their client and you pay them a referral fee for referring you that business, that would go here. Does that help you understand what this piece means? Okay, that's a cost of sale. Let's see. Operating expenses. And sometimes people get these two confused. So operating expenses is anything other than a cost of sale that you pay to run your business. And I actually have a 3-page document. I'm going to write that down so I don't forget to get it to you. From Inman a few years ago that has tons of other expenses that you could potentially write off in this business that you might not be thinking of. And a lot of times what I find is people are counting things as personal expenses when they really should be running through the business, or sometimes what you mentioned earlier, the other way around. So we're not going to go buy a random cheeseburger that's not related to anything business related on our business account, right? Okay. So you just want to be really clear. These are some of the top operating expenses that people have in real estate. If you rent a space, so if you actually were renting one of the offices, right? And we're really good here about not letting you do that until your revenue makes sense for you to. So even if you come tell us that there's an office open and you want it, we have that conversation with you because we want to make sure you have great profit. Your car. So most of you should be tracking mileage, and that's what you're going to be writing off. If you're not, there's lots of great ways to do that that don't take a lot of your time. So that's going to be a part of your taxes every year, is tracking the mileage that you're using, and that's going to be an expense for you. Okay. Salaries. So once you actually do have help, or if you choose to use Ambi and Jazz with Accelerated Agent Solutions, any money that you pay out to them obviously would be an expense to your business. For transaction management or any of the administrative stuff, you can hire them for if you don't want to do that part. Insurance. So this is if you run it through your business. So this would be if you run your health insurance through your business, right? And there's two ways to handle your car most of the time, even with some of the recent depreciation options that are available. Writing off your mileage is better than actually running your car payment and your car insurance through your business because you drive so much. So it ends up being more. You can't do both. You can't pay your car payment and your car gas through your business and do mileage. So you have to choose which one you're going to do and stay the same. That's a question that comes up a lot. For most people, mileage is the best way to go. But just check to see which one's best for you. Okay. Professional services. So that would be your coach. So that is a write-off for you. Marketing and advertising. One of the things I like to remind people of here is everything you put your logo on is marketing. So if you really like nice polo shirts and you put your logo on it, that's marketing. And you can write it off 100%. So if you have client gifts that you're giving out and you have specific things you like with those at the time of closing and your logo is on it, that's marketing. It increases the percentage you can write off if it has your logo on it. Okay. Equipment and supplies. You won't really have a lot of equipment unless you like purchased a new computer or a new phone or something like that, a printer. That's about all the equipment that you need to run this business. And supplies. That's, your paper, your whatever, your books. Education. So that's going to be any training you pay for. One of the things that you want to keep in mind around this is we do have Bold coming up. It's going to come up in April, and it is $7.99. It's one of the few classes in all of our world that has a cost to it, and it is the one that has the biggest impact. So you should be thinking about, if you haven't already considered it, saving up money for that out of your first few closings, and we do have it every year. So if this year's right for you, great. If next year's best for you, go then. We just want to make sure that you get to take advantage of that experience and the impact it can have for you personally and in your business. Sometimes I tell people just save $200 out of your first 4 transactions and you have it ready to go for Bold. Any questions about those? No? Yes?
So technically, when I was in the team, I paid for a transaction coordinator and all of those, but it's split it to team.
So that was the third one on here.
So that is still counts?
As cost of sale? Yes. So yeah, so you had your example would be if you had a $10,000 check from the attorney office and then you split 50% to the team, $5,000, that's a cost of sale for you. Just make sure that you're starting with the 10,000 number if you're writing the 5,000 off. Because a lot of times, depending on who does your taxes, they're starting with the number that's in your bank, and that 5,000 is already removed from that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you're starting with the 10,000 number, yes, that 5,000 is a cost of sale. If you're starting with the number that went in your bank, it's already not included. Okay. All right, best practices around all of this. Gaining clarity on your big why and plans for your future, setting your personal and business budgets. I want you to use this as a checklist. I'm going to go through it. I just want you to write down the ones that you don't yet have in place so that you know that they're action items for you. Open additional bank accounts for taxes, expenses, and other savings. We talked about that. Downloading and using the MREA chart of accounts. That's actually available on kellerinc.com. So that's under the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, under resources. So you don't have to figure out what the chart of accounts is. Also, if you want your profit and loss statement created every month, what class do you come to? CEO Mastermind. So a lot of this money stuff, if you're like, okay, I was excited about a couple parts of this class and now my eyes are glazing over because this is a lot, just put that on your calendar and you can come get in hour-long conversations a little bit at a time and improve on these over time and not overwhelm yourself with it. Does that sound good? Okay. Awesome. Purchase, download accounting software. You can either do it yourself or hire someone to do it. And you do need to make sure that you're paying attention to what you're spending and what you're making every month so you don't get to the end of the year and have to go figure it out. Okay, and we do that in that CEO workshop. We'll help you. Yes. Hire an accountant, CPA, attorney, tax advisor. So if you choose not to do your bookkeeping yourself, hiring someone to do that is what it's talking about at the beginning. Your CPA is very important. There are lots of people here who have great CPAs that understand real estate already. And remember, communicating your goals to them every year is important. So they have a variety of options. So some actually have like a membership where they help you all year. Some will just charge you one set amount for doing it at the end of the year. If you have a chance to work with them throughout the year at any capacity, it's smarter to do that because then they already know what's going on and they can help you make the right decisions throughout the year. Okay. And a lot of them will do a free consult with you in the beginning, tell you what you need to do, what your path is, and when it makes sense to hire them. They won't just take your money. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And a tax advisor. So these are just people that you hire along the way. The first two, making sure your bookkeeping's happening and having a CPA are the two top for you right when you get started. Set dates to calculate and pay your estimated taxes. We talked about that. So you just want to set those dates in your calendar. When do you think the quarters are? Right? January 15th, April 15th. Okay. So it's just the same tax schedule you were already used to. It's just quarterly instead of annually, depending on what you were doing before. Prepare for your future, insurance, savings, investments. I told you, if you want to just dive into the details of that and what you need to be paying attention to, and you have questions around that, we can talk about that for you. So it's curated and an experience specifically to you instead of general. Okay. All right. Think and act the wage you want before you earn it. Average is as average does. Good is as good does. And great is as great does. What you do is who you become. What are your thoughts around that? We talked about it a little bit earlier, right? What does this mean for you guys? Yeah, what does great act like, right? You just ask yourself every day, what would a great person in this act like, and do that. What were you going to say?
I'm trying to think a little bit greater because I'm a very content person. So I'm going to try to get a little bit greater.
I love that. Fake it till you make it. I love that. I was actually waiting on someone to say that because it's a common thing on this slide. And I would actually say every single thing that you do, whether it's the things that you already believe that you're great at or whether you're trying something new, is real in the moment. And we've heard fake it till you make it like your whole life, right? Around things that you're trying new. I just think you get to choose who you are right now. So, and there are lots of different ways to think about it. We talked about this of like the breakdown of what comes out of your check. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually do the math so that you can have the answer that's going to go on your sheet. So you already have that piece of homework done. Okay. So does everyone here know what you want your income goal to be? So after taxes and expenses are paid for the year. Yes? How much money you want to make? Okay. Go ahead and write that down. Bless you. And then your company dollar and royalty, that's going to be your 18,000. So your 15 and your 3. Okay. Okay. And then we are going to add up 3 numbers. So we're going to take your net income goal. Someone give me an example of your net income goal real quick. 100,000. I get that commonly actually. Okay, so $100,000. So I want you to do something that's not on here real quick for me. So take your $100,000 and divide it by 70%. Because you should have around a 70% profit margin as an individual agent when you first start in this business. What'd you get? Okay, that's going to be your gross commission income number for D. Okay, just so we have something to get your business expense cost off of. And then I want you to multiply that times 30% instead of 35 on C and to get your business expense number. What'd you get? I would use 30%. So take that. What was your net income goal?
120.
Okay.
Well, and you said.
So your first number of how much you want to make is 120. Divide by 70%. Right. And then multiply that times 30%. And what did you get? That's going to be your business expenses. So just write that down. Let's see. Does everyone know how to get your business expense number? If not, I can walk you through that again. Okay. Take your net income goal, divide by 70%, and then multiply it times 30%. And put it as C for you. Yes, after everything's paid. Okay. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take the net income goal, your company dollar and royalty, which was the 18,000, and your business expenses. Tell me what you get when you add all 3 of those together. What'd you get? Okay. So you want to make 60. You added your 18. Yes, that sounds right. Yeah. So 103. Someone else tell me what you got. 189. Okay. 160. Did everyone else get your number? Just want to make sure you have it. You need it? Okay. Okay. So you got 143 multiplied it times 30%. What'd you get on that?
I did 140, just did it like that. So it's 143. $42.09.
And then multiply it times 30%. Oh, you got it. Okay. That's going to be C. So you're going to add up that number, 18,000, and your net income goal. Okay. And then that's going to be your D number. I like 30. And you'll see why. After we get finished with this, remind me to come back to that. I don't want to throw people off, okay? But remind me to come back to that and you'll see why that works. Okay. So now you have your D number, okay? Now you have your gross commission. This is how much total commission from the attorney's office when you have a closing you need to make for you to hit your net goal. That's what you just came up with. The average commission here is around $8,400 to $9,000 for a check from an attorney's office. So if you want to write that down, now if you already know what the average price point is that you're focused on, and it's different than $300,000 because some of you are going to have different ones. Some of you are going to have 400, 450. Some of you are like, I live in an area where there are a lot of lesser priced properties. So let's do the math on that. I want to make sure you feel confident with this number. But the average is $8,400. So if you want to use average, if you have some higher price points, it's just going to get you there faster. Okay. So if you divide your total amount that we got for D by $8,400, for example, you'll get the answer to F. And tell me what you got. 12. Okay. What'd you get? So round up to 8 because you won't have a part of a transaction. Okay. What else did you get? How many did you get? Okay. So this is how many closings you want to have in the next 12 months. How do you feel about it once we got down to that? Okay.
To get there.
Yes. Okay. How do you all feel about your number? Good? It's high? What do you have? What was your number? Was 120?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what was your expense number?
51, 428.
And then you added 18 to that? So 120, 18, and then the 51. And what'd you get?
189.
And then divided by 8,400. Okay.
23.
Okay. All right. Now, let me go back to what I told you I was going to earlier. Okay. You said it's 189 divided by 8,400? Okay. So when you look at the expense number, divide that by 12 real quick. This is not on there. Take your business expense number that you put on line C and divide by 12. This is really going to help you for you being overwhelmed with that 23 number. Take your business expense number and divide by 12. How much?
4285.
Right. So 4,285. Remember, this is not the category where you're paying into the brokerage. Are you paying $4,285 in February to run your business? No, that's what I'm wanting you to see. So this is including when you're hitting everything on all cylinders, how much money you're going to spend to get there. This is super conservative. This is like, there's no way for error in that. Does that make sense? You're not going to spend that every month. It's just calculating it in as if you have tons of listings, you're paying for photography, you have someone helping you with transaction management. Those are going to happen over time in your first year. This is just building it in for the whole year so that it's there. And you're going to red light, green light every single month to make decisions on what you are going to be spending money on the next month based on how much you made this month. Okay? So yes, your number didn't change from 23, so I can't help you with that. What I can help you with is it's not going to take that many because you're not going to spend $42.85 every month. Okay? Does that help anybody that was lost on that piece? Okay. Because you already have your cap and royalty built in. That's a separate number. So most of you are not going to be spending $4,300 a month to run your business yet. You will grow to need help once you get too busy to do it yourself. And that's when you'll start investing in more people leverage. Okay. Now, let's do a couple other numbers that'll really, I think, get you excited. So take your total number for the year and divide it by 75%. So I'm going to use your 23, okay? And everyone else follow along with your number. So 23 divided by 75% is 31. So write that down as how many under contract you need. 31 under contract. We're going to divide it by 75% again. And that's going to get us to how many agreements we need to work with us. A listing or a buyer agreement to work with us. So for you, it's going to be 41 agreements to work with you. And then I'm going to divide it one more time by 75% to figure out how many appointments we need to go on. And that's going to be 55 for you, appointments. Okay, that's for the whole year. Now, is anyone lost on that piece before I take you to the next part? Or did everyone get to your number? Yes? Okay. How many of you think that number you just got to for appointments is big? Okay, all right. Great, yeah, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take your total number of appointments for the year, and we're going to divide it by 9 months. You got 6, right? Write it down. The reason I divided it by 9 months is because of what I said earlier. You're going to focus on your personal time. Did you bring me cake? You're gonna, that's awesome. You're gonna put your personal time on the calendar first. You're gonna come to classes, right? So you are not gonna be working 365 days of this year. That is not a life. Okay? So I divided it so that you know what you need to do in the time that you are focused on business. So what I just did is I gave you a 3-month runway by dividing it by 9 months. Okay? And then what we're going to do is we're going to divide it by only 3 weeks of the month. So that 3 weeks out of every month, you're focused on working. Doesn't matter, they don't have to be consecutive, but you're working, focused on business for 3 of the 4 weeks of a month in this instance. What did you get when you divided it by 3? By 3 is? 6 divided by 3 is 2. Yeah. So your job, if your goal is to hit that 120, is for you to go on 2 appointments. It doesn't matter if they're a possible listing or buyer. Your job is to go on 2 appointments a week for 3 weeks for 9 months. You have lots of space in there where you won't have appointments. Your job is just to figure out how many conversations do I need to have for me to go on 2 appointments a week for 3 weeks. And once you start hitting that cadence, you're going to be in the habits necessary to hit your goal. Is anyone lost on that? No. When we got down to that weekly number, how did you feel?
Better. Yes, not overwhelming.
How do you feel about your numbers? Good?
I never thought. Yeah.
You do.
When it came, I thought, oh, maybe like realistically, like ramping up, I'm gonna sell second half of the year and I might sell 5. But now I know I gotta sell 12 to hit my numbers.
Yeah, you get to sell 12. And how many appointments is that for you a week for 3
I
days?
didn't divide it out, but
What's the total appointments for the year?
this one, 12 appointments per year, so divided by 9.
So you need 12 closings? Is that what you need?
Yes.
12 closings. Okay, one sec. Are you going to lose your thought?
That's also on like the low end side of
What you want?
what you're dealing with on the market.
That's right.
So,
Oh, I went super low.
so
Yeah.
I mean, if you're working in this area and the average house is 500,000, not 300,000.
Yeah. That's right.
You're at like really gonna change.
I was very conservative
Yeah.
on everything. Yes.
It's very conservative.
Yes.
for me.
But I mean, if you shoot for that,
My point is, if you get in the habit of what that weekly appointment number was, you're going to kill your goal. Like, there were so many buffers built in. Your conversion rates, once you start getting into habits, are not going to be 3 out of 4 everything. But that's what I did to give you
What he's saying
space.
is I have to shoot higher. I have to shoot higher. I have to make my goal higher.
I think that it's more important that you understand why your goal is what it is. So what you're going to do with that $120,000, what you're going to do with the $100,000. If you're clear on how that makes your life different, which is part of what's going to go on your graphic that has your big Y on it, then you're going to do the activity. If you're not really clear and that thing isn't something that matters to the inside of your soul, you won't do it. You're just picking a number out of the sky, which, by the way, a lot of people do when they first start in this. You have to have something that you have attached that number to that's so important to you that it makes you wake up and do the thing and talk to people. And that takes different people different time to figure that out. So anyway, does anybody have any thoughts or anything that you need to like wrap up or get clarity on from that exercise of understanding what you need to do to hit your goal?
To clarify,
Yes.
I think you already mentioned this, but that net income figure you were talking about, that is post-tax, not like your net commission, right? You're talking about post-tax.
And after your expenses are paid. Yeah. Yeah. The taxes are going to be part of your expenses.
Oh,
They
that's
were
why
built
it's a
in.
line.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes-
You're like, where are the taxes? Yes. Yeah, they're in your expenses. Get paid at close. So this is how you do it. By the way, you don't need to memorize this. If you already had a closing, you know. If you haven't, you will not remember this then. That's just how it goes. I just want you to know it's here, okay? So when you're having a closing, make sure you either get Jazz and Amby to walk you through it or someone watch your peers, whoever's already had one. It's not hard at all. You're going to put your paperwork inside of Command. You've learned how to do that with KT. If you haven't yet, you'll have a meeting with KT and learn that. You'll make sure you're putting it in as you go along the transaction so that the paperwork is being submitted and it can be reviewed for compliance. And once you have those documents in, all of those folders will say they're approved or not. You'll get a note to you. You can see those notes inside of your Command app on your phone, so you'll know what's going on along the process. And then as long as you do all of that properly when you have a closing and the money comes in, whether you bring the check in or whether it's one of our attorneys that direct deposit it for you, because remember, all 3 of our attorneys do that for you, then it's in by 9, out by 5. So as long as everything's turned in and compliant by 9 a.m., you will get paid by 5 p.m.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I did an agent referral in Massachusetts.
Yes.
So there's no opportunity yet, but she's going to create that, right? And then I would see that in my command.
You won't see something from another market center in your command. No. Thank you for asking that. So if you are sending a referral to somewhere else, you'll need to send them your W-9 and the referral agreement will need to be agreed on. And then you forward that referral agreement to the gettingpaidkwfm@gmail.com.
Oh, do that again.
That's just so when it closes, they'll know who it belongs to.
Getting paid at what?
Getting paid FM. Getting paid. Hold on. Let me make sure I don't butcher this. It's not my email address.
So that's after they DocuSign
The referral agreement.
Okay.
And this is a really important thing. You all need to be getting referrals. You should be referring people to agents in the areas they're in and getting paid from your relationships there too. Don't let that.
Stuff with my neighbor. 2 days ago. $1.2 million listing.
Yeah. Getting paid, kwfm@gmail.com. fm@gmail.com. That email is everything commission related. So when you have a referral, send them the referral agreement so that when we receive a check for it, they'll know it belongs to you. A lot of times the brokerage sending it will put your name on it, but just in case they don't, they'll know it was yours. Yeah.
I have a question. I know everybody here is so helpful, but who's our go-to person? Let's say we have that or we have a question. Should we go to you?
Commission
Who
related?
should we bug?
Commission related?
Yeah.
Commission related is Nancy Blair.
Oh, go to Nancy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, remember, she's the one with the QR code. So if you haven't yet, go scan her QR code today.
Okay.
Save her all of her contact information in your phone. She works all the same hours we do. She just lives an hour away.
Okay.
So she's available at all times to help you. You just need to make sure to reach out and she'll help you. That's a great question. Thank you. She's everything related to money. And then she has a virtual assistant that supports her at that email address too. But she's everything, your monthly bill, your commissions, all of that is them. What were your thoughts or ideas or ahas from this section? We went over a lot. All of the money.
One of them was the like, your net income and then divide it and see how many appointments it's like throughout the year. That kind of goes back to the work from your goal picture that you
The profit first.
So that's
Yeah.
kind of like goes hand in hand with that.
Exactly. It does. That's exactly what we just did.
It's make work based off how many appointments you need to go on and closes you need to do.
So I don't know if you caught this, but when we divided by 9 months, you have your answer of what you need a month for your paper, right? So now your only responsibility is to make sure you understand why you're doing it and put it on the bottom. But you'll be really clear on what your monthly focus appointment number is because we have that now. Some people have laminated these in the past and like erased it at the beginning of each month and then just as they count, like if your goal was 4 a month, right? It's like one out of 4, 2 out of 4. Like they just love updating it throughout the month to see that they're getting to it. And then the best part is the next month you just start over with your habits, right? So that's a way that people have used it. But most important is that it's at a place you can see it every day. You guys are very familiar with the daily success system. And you go over it every single morning. So you know what those are. You know the importance of accountability. And these are the people in your life that can hold you accountable. So does everyone in the room have an accountability partner you're going to walk out of Ignite with? Yes? Yeah. Okay. Who doesn't yet? Kristen? Okay. So, oh, look, there's 4 of you that don't. Perfect. So why don't you, right now, make sure that if you don't already have the contact information of the one that's sitting at your table, that you get it, so that you guys can agree on when you want to be connecting outside of here to help each other be accountable. Okay? You will kind of become like a family. You're going to remember the people in this room, and then you'll probably take the next one as well in March, but you're going to remember the people in this room, and you're going to like get to celebrate with each other as you're making progress in your business. It kind of becomes like a smaller group within the bigger group that you're a part of. So make sure that you exchange contact info so that you have it. Productivity coach. Who's in productivity coaching here? Okay. Just about almost everyone, yeah. And then a mentor. So this is one of my favorite topics, and I'll try not to spend a long time here. You should always go after being around people that you really respect and that you want to grow into being more like them in any area of your life. So whether it's physical health, your spiritual health, your family life, your business, anything that you want to get better at, as a habit, every year you should think about, who do I want to have more time around next year? And don't limit yourself. So for me, one of the people that I wanted to have an opportunity to have lunch with before I died, when I wrote it on like a bucket list thing that I had, was John Maxwell, because I admire his leadership style. He's a true servant leader. I love a lot of things about what he's about regarding family. And the same year that I wrote it down, I actually got to have lunch with him. And if you don't know who he is, definitely look him up. I feel like you'll learn something that will inspire you. However, being on leadership and not a selling agent myself, I had doubts in my mind at one point that I would ever get to have one-on-one time with Gary Keller. I was like, how do I become awesome enough to do that, since he loves spending time with agents the most? And literally 3 years into me being at the company, I actually got to be in a small room with him to help create some of the technology. So just don't put my whole point in that is, don't leave anyone off limits because you think they're too far away or too big, or, no one is off limits, and people always want to help. So whatever you put out there can become possible. So select your mentors, and then I like to reach out to people before the year starts and say, hey, you're one of my mentors next year. Not like, do you want to be? Like, how does that work? Right? How does that work? So do that. Figure it out and make them your mentor. AKW Maps Coach, we've talked about that a little bit earlier. Once you get your production there, I was a Maps Coach for 5 years, so I can answer any questions you have around that. Tools, so we talked about this earlier. Your 411, so that's going to be your tool that helps you with your year, your month, your week, so that you can have that planning habit. Who already uses a 411? No? Okay. This is one of my favorite tools ever. So Gary actually created it. The idea did come from the One Thing book. So going back to the One Thing, this actually is where you have a tool that helps you think about your year, what you need to do in the next month based on your annual goals. And it's going to include personal, financial. I have a copy of it, by the way. This is not just an airy-fairy idea. I can share the template. Your personal, financial, your personal goals, and your business goals for the year. You already know your business goal. And then what do you need to do in the next month? You know how many appointments you need to have. And then what do you need to do this week? The week answers are how-tos, not measurables. So the week answers are, I'm going to go door knock 100 doors in this neighborhood, and here's what I'm taking with me, and I already have it ready, and it's on Monday morning at 9. So you're not, to your point of time blocking earlier, not saying lead generation from 9 to 11, because when Monday comes, you don't know what the heck you're doing at 9. You're not prepared, right? So this is really when you get into the week on your 411 planning and then transfer the weekly to the calendar, you're blocking off what's important to you for your personal finances on your calendar, for your personal world and family on your calendar, and then what are you doing to move your business forward specifically? Not just an idea. Really, what are you waking up and doing every day? And then that gets blocked off on your calendar, and then you leave white space. So the 411 is just a partner with your time blocked calendar. And I do mine on Sunday nights. A lot of people like that for their schedule. Some people do it on Fridays, Monday mornings, whatever you find is your time every week that you can consistently get in the habit of looking ahead at your week, at your month, and being intentional about planning it. So if you want to really dive into what it looks like to use that as a tool, let me know, because I am very passionate about using it. I was resistant to using it as a tool for like the first 2 years I worked at the company. When I started using it, like 3 months in, I became a Maps Coach. And that process took a year for me to apply to become one, but just my intentionality around my time and taking it to the next level made a big difference. So there's that. What are your thoughts around the time planning habits and everything that we just talked about around mentorship and people in your world?
I kind of like that you want to have some sort of like, you want to have a goal in your life, surround yourself with people that have similar goals.
Similar goals, or they're already doing it. Mm-hmm. Because you become like the 5 people that you're around, right? And so you have the opportunity to continue to upgrade who those 5 people are. Here's a big thing I want to remind all of you of, because it gets really tempting to continue to be around the same people because you love them and you've been on this journey together, right? And this is something that's really hard to swallow once you hear it, and you can't unknow it once you know it. You become the lid on the people around you if you're not intentional about growing. So if you look to the left and the right at all those people you say you love, and you on purpose choose not to go put yourself around people that are doing better or more, you're holding all of them back too. because they might not have another leader in their world the way that you are and what you have access to and how you think. And you could have a positive impact on them because you're intentional about it. So no pressure. Right? No pressure. What other ahas did you have from this section? What was helpful for you?
I've been wondering about the 411 because on the new agent checklist, I saw it.
Yeah, and we actually go over that in the CEO Mastermind too. So come to that. Huh? The next one? It is, and I can look it up for you real quick because it's on mine too.
The calendar sometimes gets a little overwhelming because I open it and I'm like, oh, like there's so much.
We have so much
Like,
going on.
everything's just bright red. I'm like, then some of my stuff is like mixed in, and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore.
So the next one is February 19th, 9:30 to 10:30. The CEO
I
Mastermind.
do have another question. Are we when Ignite starts, even though we did it, when it starts again in March, can we like?
Yes, you are absolutely. So a lot of teams actually send their entire team back to Ignite like once a year just to refresh on the basics. So you're always welcome to come to any of the topics that are important to you.
Because I mean, it was a lot of information all
At once.
Space. I mean, I took a lot of notes, but at the same time, I'm like, I went back to like my first couple of days and I took some notes and I'm like, I don't even know what that is.
It's going to look a lot different.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like if I maybe come through it a second time, I'm like, I can go back to my notes and go, oh, that's what I meant when I wrote that down. Because I jotted down a whole bunch of stuff and I don't know what it even relates to anymore.
I'm seeing we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I promise you, we'll figure it out.
That's right. Yes. And then be learning based. So this is about your growth plan. We've referenced this a lot today on making sure that you put your personal time and your learning time on your calendar, right? And being proactive about that and planning. And these are some of the things just to know about so that you can plan towards them. So we have Family Reunion and Mega Camp that happens every year. Family Reunion is our biggest event of Keller Williams, where people come from all of the Keller Williams, actually from all over the world. And it's always in a different place in the country. This year's is in Vegas. It's at the end of February. It's always in February sometime. Okay. A little funny thing is when I very first started at Keller Williams, it was the first year I ever missed my birthday away from my family because family reunion was during it. And so for me to like get over it, I made up in my mind that they like threw a birthday party for me years before I ever came here. And so I just was able to plan celebrating with them a different day. But at first I was like, what is happening? Why do I have to be away from my family? But it's really amazing. February 16th. This year it's at the end of February, so it will not interfere. What do you say?
That's my nephew's birthday.
Oh, yeah.
I am excited about to go because it's called on my daughter and my husband's birthday.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. Mega Agent Camp is always either in August or September. And it does rotate, so it's not really ever consistent. It is always in Austin, Texas, which is where we're based out of. So that's always in the same place, just different time. Mega Agent Camp. Mm-hmm. Yes. So that one will be coming up this year if that's something that you want to financially plan for. Both of these are huge opportunities for learning, connection, referral partnerships. If you think the energy here is great with how much we do, it's like 100 times. And it's just wonderful.
When is that normally?
Which one?
The Mega Agent one.
Either August or September. Yes, it is already on the calendar for this year if you want to pull it up. Yeah. And then reading, and we've talked. Guess what? We already covered all these books. Moving on. And then there's a lot of other courses. This is in your material. I'm not going to read the slide to you. And we have all of the great trainings on the calendar here. If you ever see something that you really want to make sure that you include on your growth plan and we don't have on the calendar, just ask me or Kip or Laurie and we'll get it on the calendar. Or we'll let you know where it's going to be next. Okay? And remember, just get laser focused on where you are in your business and what's most important to you in your business. What are your thoughts around the growth plan? Reading, classes. What are your thoughts around being intentional about that for yourself? Got a lot to work on?
Lots to read.
One little thing at a time. One thing at a time.
And what's cool about it is if you pick a destination, you can build a plan.
That's right.
that does that.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming right now because this is an education-based program. You can focus on what you really want.
Yeah, what's most important. Mhm. This is our mission: to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. You'll see my Instagram is actually Legacy Builder, just because the legacy worth leaving part is the most important part for me, of thinking about how we can leave legacies for the clients you serve, for your personal families, and just for everyone around us, right? So that's really exciting. And it's really important for us that everything we do every day is helping create this for each of you individually. So if you ever feel like we're not fulfilling on a piece of this for you, or like you need more conversation or partnership or anything like that for this to be true, or you're stuck or you're overwhelmed, please always come have a conversation. We can always help you through something if you let us know. Get real about your situation and get right about what you're doing. Bring a greater sense of clarity, priority, and focus to your work. There's that word focus again. And then we talked about value proposition. We talked about your big why a little bit. We talked about your profit goal, how many transactions you need to do. Definitely make sure you get your database set up properly with Command. You can do your lead generation at the same time that you're doing it. So this is not instead of. You can literally be cleaning people's contacts while you're calling them. So this is not another thing to do. It's the foundation of your business. Okay? So be in Command every day. Smart money business. We talked a lot about the different money habits and the people you need in your world around money. And you know you can meet with me around that. So that might be an action item for you. We talked about accountability and learning. And all of that is about designing your future. And we just did ahas. Do you have new ones? Okay. All right. So now we're actually just going to talk about, and this will be quick, how has your thinking changed in this class? What do you feel differently about? What are the top couple of things that you're going to walk away and do? I want to summarize this for you into the things that matter most for each of you, instead of you just feeling like it was a whole bunch of notes again, right? Let's make something meaningful out of it for you. Hold yourself more accountable. Okay.
Maybe more focused on it.
Okay.
Now we know the exact numbers to shoot for the year.
It makes it easier, I think.
And one of your 3 things that is due by 5 p.m. today is whatever version of that you have, the homework I passed out to you. Yes. And I know I told you that there would be one more, so I will get that for you. So you're going to hold yourself accountable and actually do the calls and focus on your goals. Okay?
Suck it up. Lori posted something so funny the other day. There's a little file on me when it was new agents when they need to make their first phone calls.
Yeah.
And he was just I was cracking up. I'm like, that's literally me every single day. I'm like, I stare at my phone and go, I'm going to do it. Or do it. And then I'm like, something else happens. And I'm like, oh, I can't do it. Sorry. And then I just go do something else. And just do it.
Bless you. Okay?
Laser focused on a small number, like a monthly number.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think about.
Just focus on what you need to do today. Yeah. So simplifying and clarifying your focus. Okay.
I like the part where you say, tell somebody you're gonna be my mentor this upcoming year, instead of asking, because most people really don't want to train a new agent, but
yeah,
kind of just gotta latch on to who you work with.
Can I share with you one of my favorite questions to ask people? I ask people, and this is about anything, but also as it relates to mentors, what would it take to? What would it take to come get you to teach a class? What would it take for me to be on your calendar next year, right? If you ask what it takes, we're just getting in solution together. If you ask if it can happen, our brains are automated to say no. Okay.
You want to use that. My husband's best friend lives in New York, and he lives in, I'm going to say this wrong, in Albany, Pinehurst, North Carolina. And he doesn't like it. And he keeps telling me he wants to move, especially closer down here towards South Carolina. And he just keeps putting it off. I'm actually going to say to him when I call him later today, I was like, what will it take for me to get you to come down here?
Yeah.
And I want to see what he says. Because he just keeps pushing me to say, okay, we're going to do it. And then he just doesn't. And his mom lives with him, and she hates where they are, because they're in the middle of country club land, so there's really nothing for her to do, and she just doesn't like it. She wants more of an area, like, more like, something else, like, you guys would be more of a fit, like Valentine, because they're in their 40s, they don't have kids.
Yeah.
They raise puppies until they, and then his mom just moved in with them, so you guys are more like a Valentine kind of.
Yeah, you'll share what will it take and you get a plan, right? And then you just help them follow the plan and become a resource. Great. Let me know how it goes.
I will.
Okay, one more person. What'd you get? That you're going to take away and do? You hung in here this long, so something had to be valuable. Set up properly. Okay. Getting your business account and personal account set up properly. Yeah, that's important. It makes everything else easier later. Organized. Yes. That's good. Okay, thank you guys for sharing that. I am going to get you to the evaluations page. One of the things that you can know is all of you have the opportunity to grow into whatever you want to do in this company. It's unlimited. So a couple of things I've had the opportunity to do are I was invited to South Africa to speak at their family reunion for a couple of times. I have held family reunion sessions at family reunion in the United States a couple of times. Me and Janice and Shelby, who's the current OP, have been on stage at family reunion and mega camp and interviewed for how successful our agents are in this particular location before several times. And I was a MAPS coach and got to make a difference in lots of places. So my point is, if you just nail it in the role you're in, go nail it as an agent, you can do anything else. It's not only always about selling houses. You can love that. And there are people that want to sell houses for the rest of their life and love that. Or you can build it out into anything you can possibly dream of in this company. One of those many things that you can do is become a KWU instructor or master faculty in the company and go travel and teach and speak in different places. And you can get referral business from going to do that and help other people with their business, which is really fun. So if you have a goal to do that in the future, please let me know, because I have the path spelled out of exactly how you would do that. And I'm happy to help you along the path and make sure you know about the resources and you're not guessing about how to do it. Because one of my passions is making sure that you get to follow whatever career path you want here. So just let me know if you ever want to talk about what that looks like. You can become a coach. You can do whatever you want. As long as you laser focus and nail it in what you're doing, the world of opportunities opens up for you. So just know that. One of the things I'm working on right now is continuing to grow along the speaking path. So if you don't mind, I need to get to 75 more evaluations for this 12-month period. And this is how to do it. And by the way, I don't see your name on it, so you can write whatever you want, what you really thought about today. So if you go to kwueval.com, it won't take you long either. So thank you for filling it out. The course is going to be Ignite, Plan Your Future. When you go to the instructor list, you scroll all the way to the bottom of it and say instructor not on list yet. When I finish this process, I will be on the list. I'm not yet.
Sorry, did you say choose Southeast and then go to?
No, Carolinas. Thank you for that.
Okay.
We're the Carolinas region.
Carolinas.
Yeah.
So your
Yes.
name is not there.
So if you go to the bottom of the instructor list, it says instructor not on list. And then you'll actually write my name. Yes. So it's SAUNDRA.
Carolinas and then Ignite. Plan Your Future.
Yes. And my first name is SAUNDRA. And last name is KANDLER. Also, when all of you are working on your Google reviews, I don't want to distract you from filling this out, but when you're working on getting your Google reviews, send me a link. I would be happy to be one of the people that leaves you a review to help you build your business too. I think we forget that people work with us in different capacities than just people we've closed business with, and those people can talk about their experience in working with us as well. So don't forget that. Thank you for being here. What was the most helpful part about the class for you? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, of course. See you later. Yeah.
There's obviously no instructor number 2, so you leave that blank.
What did you say?
It says it for instructor number 2, but there isn't.
There's not one. Yeah.
215.
Did you get her contact information or not yet? I know. Just get her little one, so I want to make sure that you guys do. I'll make sure to text you.